Good morning, everybody, and welcome to November's Innovation Friday, which is the last Innovation Friday of the year. I'm calling it Big Friday, as businesses need this Friday to help us with the recovery. And so, really, in planning this final one of the year, the team really wanted to create a session that was conversational, an opportunity to really talk to some of our business partners, people that we've worked with throughout the year, and really a chance to really talk about some of and put a spotlight on some of the businesses and the innovations that they've been working on, and really delve under the bonnet, if you like, of the work that they've been involved with, but certainly not do that through PowerPoint, and have the chance to speak conversationally, and really get a flavour of how we've worked together, and understand some of that. So one of the things I wanted to say is that really I am pleased that we've really had a chance to continue to work remotely and act as that outreach team, working with businesses and helping SMEs in the region. And certainly, having the funding that we have through the European Regional Development Fund, and providing free and subsidised support is really what we're working to do. And in addition to that is very much having a team. So our innovation fellows today, for people who have not been to Innovation Friday before, are very much about being able to speak to you directly and talk about the ideas and projects that you're developing, and really working with you in doing that. So one of the things that certainly the university councils and business partners and organisations have been working on at this time has been the economic recovery plan. And one of the things that we've really been looking at is really knowing that now more than ever, working to creative, looking at how we use our expertise, our imagination, and really look to the future in terms of meeting the challenges of the future. So one of the things that all of us as organisations are really looking to do is support people in their recovery, and looking at 2021 as the year that we renew that and we have a positive future. And certainly, universities are all about curiosity, and new ideas, research, looking at considering the impossible. And so one of the things that we are doing again, and both Unju, who I'm going to be handing over to shortly, are very excited about, is that University of Leicester, the Innovation Hub, Space Park Leicester, and the STAR project that provide design support and 3D printing. And again, Space Park Leicester will be opening next year. We are pleased that we're actually be sponsoring, and along with Morningside Pharmaceuticals and Montfort University, the Leicester Life Innovation Awards. So they were launched last Friday, and so nominations are open. And again, what we've looked to do is move this, because we'd like to be meeting in person, and fingers crossed we can do that come June. And so we've moved it from February. It will be the evening of the awards will be on the 24th of June. And we're really pleased that the university again is sponsoring the categories of Lifetime Achievement Award, Innovator of the Year, to get my teeth back in, and Innovation in Space. And so if anybody is looking at putting in nominations, the website is open, and we will share the link after with the slides and all the information. that we talk about today. And please, if you're working on something, do talk to us about nominations as well, and happy to do that. So really moving on to today, as we know, it is the last one of the year, and one of the things that we're really working on is absolutely making sure that we are at the heart of anyone who is developing new ideas, new projects. And so today I'm really delighted that we're going to be talking through three amazing stories around innovation, and doing that very much in these uncertain times. So we've got Alex Wade from Synoptics. So he's going to be joined by colleagues talking about machine learning and approaches that they're used within detection systems. We've got Krit Patel from Print Vision, and how his business is utilising data to innovate his business model. And Enke Onya and Lensa Jot from Lenke Space Water Solutions, and they will be talking to us about how they're helping producers create optimal harvest and maximise the financial return in regards to that production. And then we're followed really by Lucy and Tobias, who are going to take us through some upcoming funding that is available, and projects that potentially could be supported in that way. And then we're going to move out into breakout sessions. So I'm really quite excited that we're going to have the chance to have a little bit more of smaller groups, chance to network. One of the things this week that I was so happy to do was be able to go into the Innovation Hub. And one of the things that very much we're missing is being able to meet with people, have some really great conversations about people's ideas. And so what I would say is please do stay around for those, because I know that a lot of people are working on a number of different things, and the opportunity to have that discussion is very welcomed. And certainly moving into next year, we all want to go into next year with a big boost. So with that, I'm handing over to Anju, who's going to start the next session, and I'll see you towards the end, but I'll be joining the breakout sessions. So look forward to the conversation, Anju. Thank you.
Thanks, Virginia. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Where I'm sitting, it's really bright and sunny, so I'm sure that's true all over the world. Everyone's having a lovely Friday morning. So I'm your host for this first session. I'm Anju Trivedi, for those of you who don't know me. I obviously work at the University of Leicester, and I head up the regional business engagement for the university. So that's enough about me. Basically, what I want to do is, you had a quick look at the slides that I put up earlier. If you could put those slides back up, then I can just do a quick summary of the session. So how this first session is going to be is about 50 minutes. And we've got, there you go. So we're going to start first with Krit Patel from Print Vision and Amit Sompal from Barclays Business Bank. And we're going to have a conversation, Io and I are going to have a conversation with both of them about how we work together and how the data, the analytics that Io provided has helped Krit with his business model. And then, so that will last about 15 minutes, including Q&A. So please start posting your questions for any of our guests into the chat function. And all the speakers for the first session will be live, so they will also be able to ask questions in the Q&A sessions in each of the sections. So the second group is chaired by Ellie, and she will be joined by Carmina, who will be having a conversation with Lensa and with Inke, and they will be looking at how they produce an optimal solution of a product to help with harvesting and maximizing financial returns. So looking forward to hearing more about that. And they did that through a hackathon last year, which I was part of. And then finally, in our session, we'll be talking to Alex Wade from Synoptics, and this session will be chaired by Benoit Welsh. And he'll be joined by our lovely academics, Ivan and Jeremy. So that's really the structure of this first 50 minutes or so. So without further ado, let me introduce Crit from Print Vision. So Crit, would you like to tell us all about yourself, who you are, what your name of your business, what you do specifically, and then we'll get Amit to introduce himself as well.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Pritesh Patel. I own a company called Print Vision, based in Leicester, of course. What Print Vision does is we do a lot of printing services. So we provide large format printing, point of sale, fabric printing, which is an innovative product. It's new and it's come out over the last 4 or 5 years. So a lot of exhibition stands. We also manufacture hardware also, which actually helps us in the competitive market. But yes, I mean, that's mainly what we do is more large format, more printing services for the community and nationwide.
Thank you. And Amit.
Yeah, morning everyone. My name is Amit Sompal. I'm the area business manager for Barclays Business Banking in Leicester and Leicestershire. I look after a team of 15 relationship managers and relationship directors across all the industry and sectors of approximately about 2,000 SME businesses in the Leicestershire area.
Thanks, Amit. Ayo?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ayo Akiduko, and I'm the Innovation Fellow for Data Analytics and Machine Learning, AI, and everything like that. Basically, what that means is that I work between the academics and businesses, and I try to support businesses and facilitate their collaboration, looking at how businesses could drive their business using data or the technologies around AI and all of that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ayo. So the first conversation is very much about Ayo and Crit. Obviously I met with Crit as well, and the company was referred to us by Barclays. And this was roughly about a year ago. So in early 2019, we started to talk to each other. And what I loved about this story and this conversation, I'm getting a bit of feedback. So I don't know if somebody's mic's on, but apologies. What I loved about this collaboration and this conversation is that we've got to know each other really well, thanks to Barclays, who brought Crit and his company to us. And the relationship with Barclays has been fantastic, of course, and I feel like I know all of your business managers in Leicester and Leicestershire. I think I do. I've met them all, plus some additional ones as well. And then that led to a really lovely relationship with Crit and Print Vision, and a lot of us went to visit his business. And I loved your approach, an open approach to innovation, and everything is possible. And yes, I'll try this, or I'll look at that. So I think for innovation, for me, one of the key things is being open to new ideas. And that's exactly what Crit you showed when we came to talk to you and talked about it. And over the period of time, we've got to know each other, and we've learned to understand each other's business, what we can do, how we can work together. And that led to a project with Ayo, doing something around data. So Crit, do you want to sort of tell us about what that looked like and what you've been doing over the last 3 years and how it led to the project with Ayo?
Yes, I mean, it was about 3 years ago. We were quite a small company with 11 staff. We grew with the help of Amit Sompal from Barclays. We actually bought a new building, 15,000 square foot. We invested millions of pounds within machinery, and we went to the next level. Going to the next level, then Amit introduced us to yourselves at the Innovation Hub, and from there, Dr. Ayub, who came and was really, really helpful, came to our premises, sat down with us, made us understood how growth works and how we can use data. And I think that was very, very important for us. As a small company, you don't really look at a lot of data. You're actually into day-to-day business, and you just literally you just carry on, and the data stays behind you. And then Ayu came along and says, oh, this is what the data you need to, what type of data have you got? This is what type of data you need. Use this. This is how we can use this data to actually take you forward, to understand your buying patterns, when you should be buying, what type of year you should be buying, when you get the right prices throughout the year. And also our customers, showing us what our customer spend was, who are our biggest customers, who are our smallest customers, which always brings you back to that 80-20 rule. And he made us understand that, the 80-20 rule. And then just literally increased not just our turnover, help us increase our turnover. And I think it was mainly to increase our bottom line. And I think that's where I helped, is took all our data, told us what data he would need to move us and bring that. No, really, 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 really helpful, and would always recommend to anyone.
Anything you want to add to that?
Thanks for the recommendation.
So anything you want to add to that?
I think when I met Creed, it was obvious because they've just invested in a lot of machineries, moved to a new building. The company was very ambitious, and that attracted me to them. And like you said, the openness of Creed. Creed told me first day, he said, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And what I don't know, I allow other people to do it for me. So that gave me some kind of comfort to be able to work with them, that confidence to work with them. And at that point, I think what they were struggling with was the process to support their ambition. So what I offered them was what I call the data analytic review, which is basically sitting with the company to understand where they want to be, understand where they are, and start to figure out how best we could get to that destination. So that was the little piece. This is a few days of work just coming around, but I think it was quite important at that point because they are quite ambitious and they needed the right process to be able to pull that through, and just generating that insight from their data to be able to pick opportunities for that was basically what we did. But it was a joy working with Creed and his team, to be honest. Yeah.
So Amit, you brought Creed to us. What was your reasoning behind that? Why did you think it would benefit their company and for us to work together?
I think there's one simple reason for that. It's collaboration, because what we do at the bank is obviously we look after the bank, support by adding value. But I think working with external partners and collaborating with the likes of University of Leicester is important. Customers who don't know what's out there, we can help protect and really guide them through that. I think furthermore as well, it's probably helping them around understand what stuff is there. So for example, Crit's business was very, it's a very creative, innovative business. And I think when we look at businesses, we're looking at how they make their decision making, how they business plan, how they strategize. And I think that's been provided. And I remember Crit saying to me when we obviously introduce yourselves to him, is that this is one of the best external referrals I've had, where I can see the added value within my business. And I think, now speaking to Crit, we definitely can see that when we're having conversations both about the banking and his strategy going forward, he's very clear in his decision making. He knows exactly what he wants. And it's very important, especially during these times, around what he does with his suppliers and his customers as well. So it's really great to see that partnership grow with our clients.
Brilliant, thank you, Amit. Crit, you were telling me last time I talked to you how you've been pivoting and innovating during 2020. I was really, really excited to hear how you'd actually took the challenge head on and actually were winning. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been doing this year?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit shocked myself, to be truthful. In March, everyone understood that we all hit COVID and everyone got locked down at that particular time. And Amit knows I was on the phone to him all the time in terms of what we're going to do, how we're going to move forward. We've just invested a lot of money into the business. Are we going to survive or not? And you get your first few sleepless nights, and then you start thinking, no, I've got to get out of this. And I think it was important that we sat down and we thought, what can we do? Or how can we help people in COVID as well as keep our business running? And we decided then, I think I had a call one evening from one of my customers. It's actually a very good friend of mine. He was a pharmacy, and he said to me, he goes, we need a screen. We need a screen for our counters. And I thought, I go, a screen for your counters. And straight from there, I think that's when we jumped straight onto the bandwagon, and we started creating COVID products. So from screens to floor distancing stickers, I'm sure everyone's seen the yellow tape that's been going around on the floor. That we made that. We sold over 150,000 rolls. We made sanitizing stations. We invented our own aluminium feet for holding these screens, clamps that go onto the side of desks. So we started manufacturing, designing products. We have a Far East supplier who supply us. We're quite a large flag company, so we supply a lot of the forecourt flags around the country. So I spoke to my supplier in the Far East and said, look, I need to start designing feet to hold these screens, and we did. And I think our business blew up straight away. I think it's a bad thing having COVID and stuff, but we had our best 3 months ever. We had containers and containers of sanitizing stations coming in from Turkey. We use 3 fabricators in the UK to make sanitizing stations. We sold sanitizer, we sold vent visors, we sold masks. We had 2 of the largest online print companies in the UK who came to us, hence because we have fabrics facilities and seamsters in-house. We started manufacturing face masks, custom face masks for businesses all around the country. And it just literally blew up. So even right now, we are doing the same. I mean, 95% of our business was literally gone overnight in terms of what we were doing before, exhibition work, point of sale. But this actually came along. Instead of doing thousands of products, we were concentrating on maybe 50 odd products. And it works for us. And hopefully now, going back into the new year, we transition back into our products, are the products that we used to do. And now hopefully exhibitions come back and point of sale. I mean, yes, Leicester University, we did every single screening at Leicester University. They spent hundreds of thousands of pounds with us. So it was very, very, very good.
Like local.
All the local pharmacies all around the UK, we were a trade printer. So for us, it was very difficult because we never had any end users. We had resellers. So Print Vision was 98% trade only, supplying the trade businesses out there, so the resellers. But what we decided to do is we need to start going to end users, because a lot of our resellers just prevention. It was literally like shut down, furlough everyone, and I mean, where they could have actually sold our products onto their customer database. So we ended up going to the NPA, which is National Pharmacy Association, which have 10,000 pharmacies. We ended up getting 3,000 pharmacies place orders with us for screens. We got Bernardo's. We did 800 screens for Bernardo's, Domino's Pizza. And the list goes on and on and on. And I think, yes, we did very, very well out of COVID. But of course, we've got to transition back into our normal business, and hopefully, for not our sake, for all the businesses around us, we all need that to get back into normality, really.
So just coming to the end of our session. So for next year and working with the university, I know we are going to be doing stuff, and I can see Cameron on the call. Do you want to briefly mention about our plans to collaborate going forward?
Yes, I mean, even through COVID, I think Cameron called me a couple of times, and it was really surprising. He was, "Oh, how are you getting on?" And thank you, Cameron, for the phone call. And Andrew, you called me as well, speaking about the 3D printing as well. And I'm sure there's a lot of things we can do with the 3D innovation that university doing, and collaborate with the university. But yeah, moving forward, I think it's all about Cameron and the KTP, the knowledge transfer program, to help us automate, help us scale up. And I think that's the important thing, is to scale up and get our bottom line better, and automate the company, and use the academics and Ayub's help and Cameron's help and your help, Andrew, and along with Amit to help me more invest and give me more money. So, but yeah, all together, I think bringing us all together and getting Print Vision to automate. Print Vision's got a very good structure. It's got a really good base, and I think it's more of us going from a family business into a corporate business as well, and having the help from everyone else is really helpful, and just to help put all that jigsaw together, and then literally just scale up. And I think that's where all of you guys come in, and also supported me through COVID, and didn't keep your phones down and pick the phones up to me, and even just to say, how are you? And I mean, knowing that you're still there for me, and the KTP is still there, and we can move forward with it.
Brilliant, thank you. Amit, I'm going to give you the final word before we go to the next conversation. You and your managers are seeing what the situation is on the ground with all the businesses and the way they're suffering and how they're pivoting and becoming more resilient. From your observations and obviously your skills and knowledge in this area of business and survival, what one advice, if you could give one advice, would you give to businesses now in order to so that they can survive going forwards and they can do something that's positive to take them into 2021? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is there something that you'd love to tell the business community?
I think the one thing I would definitely say is please come and speak to relationship manager or relationship directors, because I think the biggest thing, just as we've been inspired with Prit's story here, if you come and speak, we want to help and we want to be able to see what we can do to support you, whether it's in your business planning, your strategy, your diversification, looking at the cash position, suppliers, customers. And I think also it's then making sure we can help support what we can do within the bank, but also externally to kind of signpost and around what support packages and everything are as well. So from my side, please come and speak to us, because the more we get to speak to you and understand the position of the business, the more we can and move forward as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Aya, anything you want to add?
Just like Amit, talk to us. Data is no longer a byproduct of your business. It's actually people leaving their digital footprint, telling you about themselves. We need to explore it to drive your business forward. If you're not sure what to do, just talk to us. We'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'll come back and do the proper thank yous later. But for the moment, thank you all three of you for your contributions. Just to the audience, please start putting your questions in for any one of our guests and speakers into the chat function, and obviously ask each other questions as well. So I can't see anything in the chat function at the moment, but I'll wrap up at the end if there are any questions. So now I'm going to hand over to Elle, and she's going to talk to her guests. Thanks, Elle.
Thanks, Angie. Just a caveat before I start, my camera is on lag from what I can see. I don't know if you guys are seeing that too. But it's slightly off-putting, so I'm not going to look at myself. But I'm Ellie Upshaw, so I'm business startup project manager at Leicester Innovation Hub. So ultimately what I do is I manage all the support for students and graduates starting their own business. So we're joined today by Carmine. So I don't know if you want to introduce yourself and I'll then introduce our guests.
Hi, Carmine Maffei, Earth Observation Innovation Fellow at the Hub. I work with non-space applications of space technologies and also with the geographic information systems and geospatial intelligence into businesses.
Cool, thanks, Carmine. And yes, so today we are joined by Lenke Water Solutions. So that is Lensa and NK. I don't know if you guys just want to introduce yourselves, and then I'll go into asking some more questions.
Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for having us. My name is Lensa Jote. My background is in hydropower engineering, and I'm currently doing my PhD, halfway through it, at University of Leicester in geography. And our business focuses on mostly empowering farmers, but also developing decision support tools for water management.
Cool, thanks, Lensa. Is NK on the line? I haven't seen.
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us. My name is Nkiruka Onya. I'm a geographer, did my PhD at the University of Leicester. My background is in environmental management, and since finishing my PhD, I've been working on remote sensing of environmental parameters with different companies with the University of Leicester. Thank you.
Cool, thanks both. So first of all, how did I know your story very well? I've sort of been there since the start with various areas of support, but how did you get started with Lenke Water Solutions? Where did it all begin, and what have you been through since then?
Well, I can take this one. We started actually not as a business, but through a hackathon competition, Copernicus hackathon competition back in 2019. And it was Carmine and the Innovation Hub's invitation, actually, both for myself and NK. And we were put into a random group of people with different backgrounds and different expertise. And the theme of it was harvest optimization. For me particularly, which was a big interest in food, water, and energy nexus. And for NK, because her background and her interest is in remote sensing and Earth observation works, it's fit in very good. And we ended up winning the Copernicus hackathon back in 2019. And our team members, because they were mostly due to location, they were somewhere in Italy, somewhere in London, we were not able to have a good continuous teamwork. So they started to drop out one by one. If we need some help, they are actually there as partners. We can hire them, or if we want to ask them some help, they're willing to participate. But NK and I ended up creating Lenke Water and Water Solutions, starting from that hackathon. And that's basically our starting point.
Cool. Great. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I find with the larger teams that come to me from the beginning, people do drop off. But I suspect it's almost ironic because now all teams are all over the place. So you started where it just geographically didn't work, but times have changed, haven't they? So in terms of your journey, it's been sort of about a year now, hasn't it? What have been sort of some of the key challenges in starting up for you guys?
I guess I can take this one. It's really been challenging, even from the hackathon itself. I always say this just to inspire someone out there. When this hackathon invitation came along, I didn't take interest in it because for me, hackathon means coding. So I kind of excluded myself until Kamine actually reached out to me and said, no, it's not about coding. It's just about bringing in your expertise to find solutions to, prevailing problems. And that was how I got into the hackathon in the first place. And I was luckily in the same group as Lensa, who has made a lot of difference, in my life generally. And and then the rest. We won the hackathon and members started dropping. The first challenge really was getting the team to to work together with the same focus, because people were coming in from different backgrounds. They had different ways of doing things, and it was initially challenging for us all to have that same vision that luckily Lensa and I shared for the company. So we tried, but it didn't go through, and people started to drop off on their own for different reasons. But like Leicester just said, some are still there for us to utilize their expertise when we need it, and we will be needing it. So from that human resource perspective, that was the initial challenge. And then also there was that challenge of actually refining what our idea was. Yes, we've won the hackathon and we have something that can provide solution to a general theme of problems, but we needed to refine it and understand how to translate that from just an idea to a money-making business. And then this is where Leicester Innovation Hub came in, Kamine, Arnold, who's been slightly in the background now, and so many other wonderful people that have been on this journey with us. The series of presentations we've had to do at different fora, especially at the Innovation Hub as well, has really been helpful in terms of helping us develop our skills for pitching and things like that. And for me personally, really, a lot of the things that have happened during this period are things I've never had experienced before. There are lots of terminologies I only learned for the first time during this journey. So it's really been an enriching experience for me. And the challenges, I think, have kind of helped me also to, broaden my view and kind of refine my skills and everything. So let's.
Cool, great.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to see from your perspective of, from the very beginning, it was very much almost a scientific project. And I think you had that with your wider team as well. And that's probably where your sort of different directions came about. But it's been so interesting, as you say, to see you turn it into a commercial business and actually have to change your own mindsets, because you're both very intelligent academics and you're very used to academia, but now you've got a commercial opportunity. And in recent months, just seeing you commercialize yourselves and become more entrepreneurs has just been incredible, particularly since around sort of March time, which has been the dreaded month of the year. Carmina, over to you.
Yeah, actually, I recall very well when you started working at the hackathon and you spent over 2 days. The first half day, you didn't start properly working on the project, on the idea. Instead, you spent all the time in scoping it out clearly and understanding a sort of business case for that idea. I think that that helped you to be more convincing or creating something that was more meaningful for the jury that actually awarded you the prize. But next, the journey of an entrepreneur, you were not entrepreneurs, so you had the development of you needed to develop your idea, but not only technically. How did it happen? What type of support, starting from the prizes, for instance, but then what else happened in this year or a bit more?
I think even during the hackathon, like you mentioned, one of the great things we took away from it was, and what set us apart from the other groups, I believe, was that we had a clear idea of what the problem was and who our target market is. And so when we presented it, it was a rather simple idea because there was the group that, the other groups had very good solutions, but there was a bit of confusing to whom exactly they were marketing it. And that was one of our main takeaways from that hackathon. And in that way, it helped us to refine as we went along the past year, trying to hone in, okay, let us start developing the pilot project, because the challenge we're trying to solve, optimizing harvest, it's the greatest problem of the agricultural of the century. We can't solve it overnight with one startup company. So trying to identify a pilot case study area, trying to identify the specific types of markets we would like to address and we would like to learn from in our market analysis and validation process. And then in the process, trying to have a conversation with people like yourself and with our mentors from Copernicus Hackathon. We have to give him a shout out, or from people like Elle and Sean, that helps us also bringing in the business strategy aspect that really made us optimize our 1 year period, identifying our markets and understanding the problem, and at the same time having a very capable support.
Oh, this is excellent. Over to you, Ellie.
Thank you. So I think just in conscious of time, but you kind of touched on it there with sort of building clients and so on. How have you sort of built your first relationships with your initial clients? And I know the word client is loose. At the moment, it's more of a partnership so that you can validate your model. But how did that process happen? How did you end up where you are now?
I just want to add a little bit to that before Lensa takes over, because she's been on the ground in Ethiopia trying to, establish that connection with our potential clients that we're, starting the pilot project with. But before then, we had a very useful input from Sean through the course that we did at the Innovation Hub, and he gave us some links to some, contacts that we could have utilized to assess, for instance, the Farmers Association, because during the hackathon, our original study area would have been in Kenya because of the other team members that we had who had some kind of connection to that part of the world. But like the team started kind of breaking down, sort of, we lost that connection. But we had this input from Sean, where he gave us links and contacts of people who were in the same area in East Africa, and we were able to utilize that connection and had we had the opportunity to assess some users of our service, but we've not really explored that fully. It's still there. That connection is there. We carry on networking, as Sean will always want to say, do that part of the business as well as developing the technical aspect. So networking and connections and more client base is what is a very huge part of our development. And so I'll leave this to Lensa now to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, the first client, like NK just mentioned, because we knew the problem and because we knew the study area very well, we were able to utilize our previous connections in other projects as well. So we were not afraid to bring them in. And in fact, some of our, because instead of just only focusing on optimizing harvest and empowering the farmers, now our model is also able to serve water management people. So people who are also in the water decision, water management policy making as well. So our clients in a way guided also our product to pivot. Not pivot will be a strong word because we haven't diverted from our core idea to begin. But basically we used our already existing network and then built on it because the trust is already established. So we figured we might as well start there.
Yeah, cool, great, thanks guys. And just for reference, actually, I know NK mentioned a couple of times Sean there. Sean is Sean Lines, who is one of our entrepreneurs in residence at Leicester University, and he has been running the Lean Launchpad program for students and graduates starting their own business. So that's the reference NK made there, and yeah, he has been a huge support to the Lenke team. So yeah, thanks guys. I think I'll hand over to Benoit now for the next interview. But thank you very much, and I'm just as excited as you are to see where things go over the coming months. So thank you very much.
Thank you, El. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, El. So good morning, everybody. I'm a knowledge transfer executive at the University of Leicester. So I'm essentially a specialist in a funding scheme called Knowledge Transfer Partnerships, or K2P for short, which helps basically obtain funding for innovation projects for companies and academic teams. So the next story is relates to a company called Synoptics that I've had the pleasure to work with. Alex, are you there? Would you mind on your camera?
Yep.
And Ivan and Jeremy, if you're there, would you mind revealing yourselves?
Careful what you wish for, Benoit.
So should we start with introductions? Alex, would you like to?
Yeah, sure. I was just going to say, I've just noticed that Andrew's got a hand up. I don't know if that was a...
It's a legacy hand, I think.
So hi, I'm Alex Wade. I'm the engineering manager at Synoptics. We're a sort of multidisciplinary consultancy focused on what we call systems engineering. So we essentially work with our customers to solve complex problems, essentially. So we're fairly well established from 2011. And we work with organisations like BAE Systems, Rolls-Royce, MBDA, Network Rail, and so on. And so, yeah, I came to know the team here at the Innovation Hub through what used to be called Cake Friday and is now Innovation Friday. So, yeah, that'll be the start of the story. I think I'll hand over to Jeremy.
Yeah, so my name's Jeremy Leesley. I'm a professor of applied mathematics in the department of the school, of mathematics and actuarial science. And I'm one of the two sort of academic leads for the data and analytics component of the Innovation Hub. And this is the thing I've come to love doing, which is talking to people in business like Alex and trying to solve problems that are real and current. And as I say, I just love doing this. So anybody who wants to get involved in talking to me about their challenges, then I'm open for business.
Okay, and do we have Ivan with us today? I know he had another great. Good morning, Ivan.
Yeah, good morning, Benoit.
Would you like to say?
Yes, I'm Ivan Tuk, and I'm a professor of applied mathematics at the University of Leicester. And I'm delighted to be part of that and all that activity. I've been working with Innovation Hub for quite a few years, and greatly benefited from the opportunities from academic perspective this work creates, and also to showcase that your academic research actually can make a big difference if properly organized and with the proper industrial engagement and help, like in the projects we had with Innovation Hub before. Thank you.
Can I just interrupt for a second, Benoit? I just want to tell everybody that Ivan's just been announced as a fellow at the Turing Institute, which is the UK's highest Institute for Data Science.
Fantastic.
So we're very proud of him. So work with
Well
Ivan.
done.
He's now one of the, well, he always was, but now they're recognising at the Institute he's one of the UK's top guys. Well done, Ivan.
Fantastic.
Well,
Fantastic.
congratulations, Evan. Well done.
Thank you. But if I can make, I think it's the university's achievement and Innovation Hub and Benoit yourself, Andrew, and like people I've been working with, they contributed immensely to this in building up and actually realization of the vision. So, so it's not my personal achievement, although well, that's how it's presented, but I think it's a university's achievement.
Fantastic. Okay, well, Alex, do you want to kick off by sort of telling us about how the collaboration started?
So, as I said, it all started from a Cake Friday event. And so Synoptics had been talking with one of our customers in the defence sector about application of machine learning and machine vision, essentially. And we'd been working, like we previously worked with a small private organisation, I think it was down in Bristol. And we'd done some previous work with them, done some feasibility studies, and then typically with defence contracts, they go quiet for a year or so, and then the opportunity came back up again. So we were talking to them, but we found they hadn't really done anything in the meantime. They'd done the demonstrator and then just left it because, of course, there was no commercial need for it or funding to support it going forward at that point. But then it happened that I was at the Cake Friday event and Jeremy stood up and started talking about machine vision. And I was just like, wow, this is exactly what we're looking at the moment. And what the university is doing is very much at the cutting edge. They're capable beyond what was actually out in the marketplace at the time. And so literally as soon as he finished speaking, I went over to talk to him and we struck up discussions and never looked back, essentially. So we partnered with the university straight away and we contracted with them to deliver some research for us. And then, yeah, delivered a successful project with the defence customer. Again, that went down and we didn't hear much back from them, but of course it's ticking away in the background, of course, and we'll see it pop up. But then, of course, we came across another mutual opportunity, which was Network Rail and looking at machine vision with level crossings, essentially. And we're still in contact with the university, of course, and so we applied to one of their problem statements. Network Rail were greatly interested in what it was we were doing, and again we got a follow-on contract with them, and again worked with the university, developed a demonstrator, and we're now at the stage where we're going to be deploying a piece of kit onto the live track, which is pretty much unheard of within a year of them seeing it. To get access to their network like this is quite fundamental, really. And then through all this, we of course have secured the KTP as well, which is hugely beneficial to us. And that was, again, the hard work from Benoit to help coordinate it, and Cameron as well is our advisor. And then we've ended up where we're at. So yeah, I've just thought as well, Jeremy's wearing a suit. This must be important.
Well, I was going to say, no, I'm wearing the top half of the suit.
All right, okay.
In mathematicians, we like to be precise.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've got a very good relationship with the university. And yeah, it's just grown from there, really, and we've got various other opportunities we're pursuing in the same areas.
Alex, can you say something about the problem you're trying to solve for Network Rail?
Yeah. So level crossings are a global problem for rail infrastructure owners, essentially, and they're seen as one of the biggest sources of risk to operation at the end of the day. The UK is, over the next 5 years, spending about £300 million on improving their the safety of their level crossings, and we've actually got the second safest level crossings in the world, essentially. So it's in the grand scheme of things, for us, it's not that big a problem, but it's still seen as a significant problem that we're investing a huge amount of money into it. Globally, it's probably about, I've seen estimates in the region of about £24 billion that the world could spend on level crossings over the next sort of 10-15 years or so. So it's a huge opportunity for us to get involved. And what we're doing is essentially using machine vision in order to look at what's happening on a level crossing and actually inform risk models, essentially, which then directs that funding into where it's going to get the biggest benefit, essentially. So.
Okay, so I had a question about, you said it's a cutting edge technology. So the question is, and that's probably to everybody, what makes it cutting edge that you can tell us?
Yeah, so
above and beyond commercial, commercial off the shelf solutions out there, so, if there are any.
Yeah, well, I suppose I've got Connor, who's my lead engineer, on this can probably field the question as well, but I'll take a stab. But it's essentially it's the assurance that goes behind it. So we know there's things out there for like Tesla has their automatic driving capability of their car, which involves machine vision and so on. But of course, you've still got a user that's got to engage with it and so on. And it's then got to be ported over into what is a highly safety critical environment, which is rail. And so given that what we're recording is going to inform risk models, which then inform where budgets are going to go to improve safety, we need to be absolutely certain that what we're seeing is, or what the computer sees is what is there. And so at the moment, the whole process is done manually. And so in the UK, Network Rail either hire a company or go and do it themselves. And they literally record a level crossing for about half an hour or so, or over 9 days, they record it for half an hour each day or so and build up a measure of statistics. And in fact, there was a government report that came out a few years back just saying that actually a lot of our assessments and all these numbers that go into these risk models is based on usage data that's not even during peak times, and just when people could get to the level crossing with a clipboard and tally charts, essentially. I remember doing that when I was at primary school, tally chart red cars outside the school and stuff. It's the same thing they're doing at the moment. And we found out as well it's happening abroad. And then they had an innovation a few years ago where they recorded it and sent so they could record it for 9 hours or so during non-peak times. And then that information, that video footage was sent abroad, where they had an army of people sat there watching it and tallying it instead. So they were tallying it in nicer conditions rather than being out on the level crossing during all weathers. And so we're just turning around and saying, well, rather than for these 9 hour or half-hour snapshots, we can use a computer and give you 24/7 live data on demand as to what's actually happening on your level crossings. And through the AI and data analytics, I was just doing some quick calculations. If we got these happened across level crossings across the UK, we'd be generating something like 9 trillion data images to analyze, essentially. And from that, the statistics we could generate from that would be phenomenal, essentially. So, and it's just not capable at the moment in what's out in the market.
Okay, Ivan, Jeremy, do you want to add anything to that about what makes it cutting edge, or have we answered that question?
Yeah, I can give a first stab. One of the issues which any national scale deployment would face is, of course, safety and standardizations of those data-driven AI systems. And these are the areas where Leicester was working and focusing its resources over quite a few years already, and that's what that's a part of the technology which we developed, and I think this is a great again example of how this academic work can immediately benefit to the broader society through this engagement. And I have to say that well, actually, I'm pleased to say that Synoptics is a project partner for that fellowship in this fellowship project, and this particular application and at a broader scale is going to be one of the research focus there.
Great. And,
yeah, if I can add something, Benoit, I think what makes all of this work is having that you need a certain different sets of people inside the sort of team. So if I wasn't talking with Alex, this couldn't happen. But Ivan is the technologist. He's the guy with the big brain who thinks up the ideas and makes them work. He can't be spending his time wandering around like I can be, looking for interesting people to talk to. So I have to understand enough of what Ivan does in order to understand what it might do. And Alex has to understand enough of what's out there to understand when I say this can do this, that this is really something. So you somehow need what's the word? It's a little bit of an accident of the right open minds in the conversation and people who are willing to give things a chance. Yeah. And when you've got people willing to sort of give things a chance, spend some time, build the relationship, then you're on to a winner. But as soon as you and it was interesting what Elle said about, You know, we're partners, they're not clients. We don't think of Synoptics in any sense as a client.
No.
They're as much my partner as somebody in the next school in the university. You know, I'm asking Synoptics, can you come and talk to our undergraduate students about this? Can you set them a challenging problem? Can you set a challenging problem for our third year students? So this is, you know, Alex and I have this sort of view that of completely blurring the boundaries between things and using the relationship to train our students to be the workers you guys want them to be, so that we don't have to spend a year training them to be with the skills they need. And it's and from my point of view, this is just all part of the partnership model that should be business as usual, but seems to be unusual. You know what I mean? So that's the value of this Synoptics thing for me, is the fact that it's a sort of full court press on universities and business working together.
Okay. As I was going to say, as part of this project, so we've got the actual project that we've got funded through our supply chain, as it were. And I think I've had Connor over the last year supporting academic students with master's projects we had with the DABI team, I think it was. And Jeremy and I, we're going to set up a meeting in the next couple of weeks to sort of second and third year projects as well. So it's we've got this full-on relationship where we're putting significant time in as well, as is the university. And it's probably one of the lessons learned from this, is that you need to have that sort of level of commitment, as it were, and there's not an immediate return necessarily. I think we were incredibly lucky that we had an immediate return through one of the projects, but actually just that faith to come along to these sort of events and start talking to the teams. And it's one of my policies that innovation can only flourish if people talk to each other. At the end of the day, you can't sit on your own idea, because if you're not capable of delivering it on your own, nothing's going to happen at the end of the day. So you've got to take a chance and start talking to people, and the universities are brilliant places to do that, because they're looking for ideas to direct their research as well. So that's very much what we've been doing. We've been saying to university, this is what we need to research. Can we pursue that, essentially? And we can't necessarily do it as a business on our own, because it would be hugely expensive. So yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to say that to comment on this lag. So yes, there was a bit of lag, but I think underneath that there was exceptionally hard work by Connor and yourself, Alex, because if you count these hours as a business which you spent pursuing that lag, that's a massive investment. So I wouldn't put it that way. Yes, of course, luck is important, but I think it just somehow illustrates that is like, you know, commitment on both ways. So like from academic and industrial partners.
So it's what I say to the students all the time: you make your own luck. If you don't put yourself in the way of luck, you're never going to get any. So you've just got to keep going out there and looking for luck.
Yeah. We can see Connor now. Hi Connor. Good morning.
And I was going to say, I was talking to Connor about it this morning, and we were saying that we think actually the biggest benefit that we've got from our relationship with the university is that it gives Connor and I the confidence that we can walk into any potential customer or any bidding opportunity and say, we can deliver AI to your systems, we can integrate it with what's going on, because we know we've got Jeremy and Ivan behind us, essentially. That if they start asking us some really difficult questions, we can pick up the phone and talk to them straight away and find out how to tackle it. And so it means that we've got that confidence to just walk into a room and say that we can do it. We've got our pedigree in systems integration with what we do with our customers to then deploy the skill sets, and that's what Jeremy was saying. We see each other as partners in this, so that we can identify these opportunities, and that's why we've got an MOU signed with the university to say that we can essentially sell each other's services. So at the end of the day, it's the principle that we've got. So
okay, brilliant. You sort of anticipated all my other questions, and we've almost run out of time. So I've got one last question, maybe for you and Alex and Connor, is if you had a top tip for any other companies starting on this journey, what would it be?
Connor?
This links into your point, Benoit, about what was state of the art. And actually, interesting for Network Rail in some respects, what we're doing isn't state of the art. It's very much applying the digital twin, which AO spoke about earlier. Which, you know, to do that, we don't have to be state of the art science. It's actually, you know, some of the stuff we're using is quite basic science in some respects. So just giving them the data to use properly. That's a very small footstep. So yeah, it's nice to think big picture, but as an engineer, sometimes it's nice to go back to the simple things and say, okay, what's the very small, simple thing we can do to solve the customer's problem? And I think in kind of, yeah, small sometimes actually helps.
Incremental innovation.
Yeah.
I think my biggest tip as a manager within the organisation is that it's worthwhile to engage with the university commercial team as quickly as possible, as soon as possible, to get some agreements in place, and then assign it off to your commercial team or somebody within your business that can deal with that, and leave you to talk about the innovations and the technical work with the university partners that you've got, and let the commercial teams do their thing in the background. Sort of thing, because it's the same with any big business as well. The commercial side of things is where things grind to a halt. Hopefully there's not too many lawyers on the call, but I live to the day that we don't need lawyers, so that we can work together as a single team sort of thing. But unfortunately in the real world, yeah, lawyers do have to get involved at some point. And so yeah, so it's very much engage as early and as hard as you can. Just get the commercial teams talking to each other, because any problem will be able to be overcome, because both parties are wanting to work together at the end of the day.
Yeah, emotionally I agree with you, but contractually I'm obliged to say no comment. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. That was brilliant. Andrew, back to you. I think that was slightly late. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. It was fascinating listening to all three stories, and I didn't want to interrupt and stop it. So thank you all for being so generous and so open with the conversations, and having fun with it too as well. So it's been nice to listen to as an observer as well. So thank you very much. There's a number of questions that have popped up into the chat function. I think because we're running a little short on time, unless there's any burning ones that anyone particularly wants to address, I will leave it to the breakout sessions for people to ask those questions specifically. But there was one for the academics and one for Alex, for you, that I saw in the chat function that you might want to pick up. The one for you, Alex, was around getting through with Network Rail within a year. So how did you manage that? Did you manage it within a year? Can't hear you.
This is what I was saying about the commitment. So there's a very long lead time to get that engagement with Network Rail, and any large organisation. So to any SMEs out there trying to participate and get involved in what is a government organisation, it takes time. It really takes a lot of time. So from the initial point where we identified an opportunity to getting a purchase order was, Connor, I think it was it was over a year, wasn't it? I think it was pretty much August to August that it took us, and we moved fairly quickly after the initial engagement. But the machine moves very, very slowly, and especially as we were doing a new area where they had to find funding for it, and they sponsored us through to get that funding. But we got there in the end. But then from that point, it's now very, very fast for us to keep up and keep the pressure on as well to get the next round of funding and so on. So yeah, in terms of accessing the actual infrastructure and so on, a lot of time, and you potentially have to go through other organizations who have test tracks that you can then demonstrate it on before they say, yep, okay, I'm happy for you to put it onto our live network, essentially. But we've got a benefit because we're not integrating with any other safety system. It's a passive system. We're putting a camera there and just going to record what happens, essentially. So there's no impact to the safety. So that's one of the reasons why we've been able to do it very quickly. But again, it's through that engagement with the department that we've been working with, and the confidence that we've got a solution here, because we're working with the university. Network Rail stakeholders are very confident, so they've pushed it forward as well. And as I said, we're now just waiting on the next round of funding to come through to actually go and make that happen, essentially. And we've got a level crossing identified where we're going to go and deploy this. It's just literally waiting for the paperwork to land so we can then go and do it, essentially.
Brilliant, thank you. And Ivan and Jeremy, there's one question about how you approach which type of companies you work with, and what your approach is in working with them in terms of the challenge that they might have. Do you want to briefly say something, or do you want to pick that up in the chat in the breakout rooms?
To be honest, I don't have any feel for that. What I want to hear is what the problem is. I'm not interested in who they are in that sense. I mean, It's is the problem interesting or not, and are they people we can work with or not? And work with often means, you know, as I start, you know, the second question will be, oh, can you come and talk to our students, please? You know, and if they're looking open to the idea of talking to our students, then I know, okay, this is a person who likes the proper idea of partnership, and they're not just after us for our, you know, our brains, and because then you get a sense that we're in it together, and then you worry less about the legal side. So with Synoptics, we never worried about are they trying to get our best ideas for cheapest, and that's the worry on our side. Somebody's going to try and, I mean, I don't steal our ideas, but we're not, you know, that's not what the university's about for me. The university's about helping people on the outside, but that's got to be mutual. So it's about the relationship that starts to develop, and if it develops well, it just keeps getting bigger. But if anybody starts to show any signs of sort of what's the word? I don't know what to call it, but you start to think, well, they're not really interested in the university as a university. They're just interested in pinching our idea and running off. That's not usually how I would want to work. So I think it's all, for me, it's all about relationships and, you know, having an interesting, fun person to work with.
I've got a question there from NK. Do you want to come in?
Yes, please. Thank you. Just wanted to add something to that question for the academics about where we found the inspiration to get into business. I wouldn't say there was a clear inspiration, because obviously when you do your PhD, the kind of outlook you have is to stay in the academics. But like I said, for me personally, the hackathon provided me the opportunity and the exposure I kind of needed to begin to consider another direction for my career path, which was like use the skills I've acquired in my PhD to try to solve problems, you know, that are relevant. So that I would say maybe was that participating in that hackathon was the inspiration. And with regards to approach, I wouldn't like Jeremy just said, there's no particular approach. For me, it was about, you know, finding solutions and also like talking to people and understanding where I stand on the scheme of things, like what my weaknesses are, what my strengths are as a person. And for our business link, we also have a good idea and understanding of what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are. And then we have this lovely support group that has really enriched our lives, as you know, personally, professionally, and for our business as well. And we have that opportunity, that network to assess other skills that we do not have or that we need. So yeah, that was just the input I wanted to make.
Thank you. Just to wrap up this section now, and in response, following on from what Jeremy said, I would say that as a business development person in the university, the things that we look for is what is it that you want to achieve? Do we have the expertise in the university and the academics with those expertise who can help you to reach your objectives? And do we, can we find a mechanism to work together? So that's anything from, we've got free funded support like the Innovation Hub has, or there's funding through Innovate UK, such as KTP, or the company actually wants to just pay for this consultancy or contract research in some way. So we look at the opportunity to work together first. We look to see, can we actually add value, and if we can add value, then we'll continue the relationship and build on that relationship and actually come up with how best we can add value, because we don't want to do everything. We want to play to our strengths. So I think that's, if you were looking for an approach, that's what we do, is play to our strengths and bring in other partners that actually can do other bits of it. So we talked about business, entrepreneurs in residence. I made it in terms of the Barclays Bank, growth wide network of business support and innovation support organizations. So we don't want to do everything. We want to play to our strengths. So really, let's have the first conversation, see what you need. Can we help? Can we add value? And then we'll find a mechanism to help to take that idea forward. That's all I want to say. That was a sales pitch. Sorry. So moving on, it's my pleasure to say thank you to all of our guest speakers this morning. Thank you so much for your openness, for your conversation. Really interesting to get some insights into your business. I would definitely overrun. I'm a terrible host. So I'm going to say thank you very much.